Happy and healthy altitudes to you. Coming to you from sunny Colorado and coming to you from Healthy Altitudes, Colorado with Dr. Matt. And we're going to talk about some things today. Is it worth it, Dr. Matt? Is it worth it?
Those are the big questions always. I think every decision, every crossroads we come to, the question is it worth it? Is it worth it to go right? Is it worth it to go left? Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Matt Moreno, and I'm coming to you from your peak mind in sunny Apex, North Carolina. Well, sunny today a little bit. It's about 61 degrees, although it's been raining all day. It's good to see you, and sun's out now. So yeah, Gary, we're going to be talking a little bit about decision making today, and the underlying thread to that question is it worth it? And
is it?
That's what we're going to talk about today. Would you like to start off?
Yeah, is it worth talking about it? That's the question. So, in health coaching, it's a little different than psychology, but similar. My favorite saying, similar but different, right? So one of the things we always talk about in coaching and in fitness and in behavior changes is the new behavior worth it? And logically, we can think about, okay, we have a behavior. Should I go to the gym? That's my behavior. Should I go to the gym and work out today? Is it worth it? So in health coaching, we talk about what are the advantages of going to the gym? What are the disadvantages of going to the gym? Almost like a pros and cons list. And we call that a decisional balance sheet. So I drew it up with my messy fifth grade handwriting, and it would look like this. So you have your behavior, going to the gym. What are the advantages? You can list those down logically. And what are the disadvantages of that? Just by taking the time to write these things down, you start to think about that, the stages of behavior change, that behavior change that's going to be required to go from a disadvantage to maybe an advantage. Or you can start to focus on those advantages rather than focusing on the disadvantages. And so then you can start to think about how you're going to change that behavior. This decisional balance sheet is just a simple technique that we use in health coaching. And it's a very logical approach, but there's a lot of factors that come into decisions. I understand that. And so, Dr. Matt, you and I were talking about this a little bit. What are some of the other things when someone's trying to make a decision? What are some of the other factors? There's one huge one that you were talking about.
Oh, definitely. If you look at your decision-making sheet that you created, Gary, you've got advantages and disadvantages. And most people, when they look at a sheet like that, are going to immediately think of the facts, the logic to it. For example, if the new behavior is going to the gym, advantages might be I'll look better, I'll lose weight, I'll do whatever. And disadvantages would be the cost or the time it might make to do that. So those are all very logical positions to take. But there's one aspect I want you all to think about as well, and that is the emotional impact of the decisions you're making. You can consider the emotions as well. And what we've learned in decision-making science is the idea that facts don't make decisions, emotions make decisions. So yes, you could have a nice, wonderful list of all the advantages of why you go to the gym or why you want to eat this Snickers bar or why you want to do whatever. And all these wonderful facts are going to be out there for you. But I'm suggesting to you that you also include the emotional impact. How do you feel when you eat that Snickers? How do you feel when you've heard that compliment from someone that says, wow, you look really good? Or you step on a scale and you see how wonderful that you feel when you see that weight that's a little bit less, if that's what you're trying to do. So what I'm suggesting to you is the idea that you include the emotional aspect of things when you're making your decisions, because there's kind of a difference between must and need, if you will. For example, you might be sitting in your house and you're really enjoying your time. Maybe you've got a quiet moment that doesn't come very often. And the one thing that's undone in your house is that your car needs to be washed and you're about to go on a trip or something. So in your mind, you're going, I must wash my car. Well, what are the pros and cons? Pros and cons. And pros going to be the car's going to look nice. Cons going to be it's going to take me off this couch. Well, emotionally speaking, maybe you need to wash that car because the impact is going to be in how people see you, how they view you. What's that going to do to your self-esteem? What's that going to do to your own sense of confidence? And so you get up off the couch and you go wash that car, because when you drive away and people are waving at you at your, of course, for me, it's a wonderful beige Accord. Don't get a lot of social or esteem boost from that. But it's a nice car and it works really well. At least it's clean, and so I feel good about that. And when people see it, they see that I'm organized, or I'm taking an interest in investing in my own persona. So the emotion is what made that decision, not the fact that the car needed to be washed or some other thing. So you want to consider the emotions in everything that you're doing, not just the logic of it. Because, for example, when people want to stop smoking, I've worked with a lot of people that want to stop smoking. I could give them all kinds of logical reasons why stopping is a really good idea. The problem is that those logical reasons aren't enough to motivate you to stop doing it. Usually when people can hook into an emotional reason, that's when they'll make the decision to stop. I mean, if I told you that there are 69 compounds in cigarette smoke that can cause cancer, 69, that's a whole lot of compounds that cause cancer.
Yeah.
That's not enough to make you want to stop smoking. Well, why not? It's because the emotion of it isn't what's motivating you. Because if I told you you're going to get cancer from doing something, chances are you'd say, oh, I probably shouldn't do this. But if you're invested in it emotionally, you're going to keep doing it. So face those decisions every single day. And so that's why I'm suggesting to you, think about the logic that can make some clarity, but also bring in the emotions.
Yeah. And I think that ties in with eating as well, I think, with the decisional balance sheet with eating. A lot of people, as you talk about emotion, they eat because of emotion, or they drink alcohol because of emotion, or they do drugs because of an emotion, right? And those are all things to consider in that decisional balance sheet. It could be any behavior. It could be going to the gym. It could be eating that Snickers bar that you talked about, which coincidentally enough isn't too far off from a Cliff Bar or some of the other sports nutrition bars that are on the market. They're just as high in sugar. So you say, okay, my decision is to eat a Cliff Bar instead of a Snickers bar, and I'm not picking on either company, but why are you choosing to eat either one? And the reality is they're both high in sugar. So you have to say, okay, well, if I'm not being really, really physically active, do I need all that sugar? Or is it my emotional system saying, well, these are going to taste good, so I'm going to eat this one over this one? So it's the rational piece of, I'm eating this as an athlete because my body needs sugar and fuel right now, or I'm eating this because it tastes good, it's convenient, and I'm in a rush and I'm stressed. And so those are some things to consider from that decisional balance standpoint of what are the emotions and the reasoning behind why you're doing it. So writing them down on this sheet, you can even put on emotional advantages. You could put emotions on advantages or disadvantages. What are the positive emotions? What are the negative emotions that you're going to feel with that behavior? And start to prepare yourself mentally as well for what that would feel like when you become successful and make that behavior change. So there's a couple quick tips on, is it worth it? Is it worth changing the behavior? Is it worth doing something you're doing? Is it worth taking something new on, changing jobs, changing a relationship, changing a behavior pattern to eat out every single night? What is it that the behavior is you're trying to change, and is it worth it?
So
that's our fun talk.
Before we sign off here, is the idea that books have been written about how to make decisions. Major theories are out there about how to make decisions. And this was just a very quick, down and dirty kind of a thing to think about, just to get you thinking in terms of how do I even start the process? Well, one way to start the process is think about the logic, but I'm just here to tell you to also bring in the emotional side of that. That's a very brief, very in a little box kind of a way to start thinking about your decisions. It's important to do either way you do it, but we wanted you to think about it.
Great point, Dr. Matt. Very good, strong finish there. That left me emotional, actually, that last finish. Thanks so much, Doctor.
I just have to look at your shorts standing in 32-degree weather to make me think about decision making. That's
I just put ideas out there. They're not always good ideas.
But
thanks so much, Doctor.
And that's the best part.
Exactly. Thanks, Dr. Matt. We got to keep it all together and keep smiling, having fun, not just for our little talks here, but remembering to have fun, be active, eat well, and stay happy for your life.
Absolutely. Nice to see you, Gary. Thanks for the time today, and thank you for joining us as well.
See you later.